Hello, Sherry with Red Apple Auctions. I thought today I was going to talk about some what we would call evergreen content about silent auctions, but instead I'm going to talk about ChatGPT. And the reason being is because I just got off of a panel whereby I was asked to speak. NX Unite put the panel on, and the topic was association events. And of course, I was talking about events from an auction standpoint, and some of you from Buffalo and Kentucky and North Carolina, you participated. So if you're watching this, thanks for showing up. But the question arose about how are you using ChatGPT? It was just one question, but it's something that I thought I've been thinking about doing a video on it, and I kind of have been putting it off because I don't really like artificial intelligence. So I'm just not real thrilled about it. But since we had the question, I thought, oh, okay, I'll talk about how we can use it in terms of running an auction. Now, I feel like this is going to be a big topic. It's going to be a long video. I'm going to do some screen sharing. You're actually going to see how I would use it to work with auction planning. But I feel like it deserves a little bit of a background, only because if you're new to it, like many of the people were like, what's ChatGPT? What are you talking about? So if you're coming into this completely blind, you really don't have a understanding of anything. So I want to give my take as a non-scientist who knows nothing about it, and then we'll turn to the actual tool and how you can use it in your auction planning, or might want to, or not. I don't care. It's up to you. Okay, so artificial intelligence, right? I'm somebody who really kind of can thrive on change. I do well with change. I'm like, yeah, onward, upward, all that kind of thing. Although, even during the pandemic, I was like, oh, good, something new to learn. We can make this work. Yeah, rah, rah. But I have to say, this is something that I feel like humanity is just we're not ready for it. I don't think we're ready for this. I could see this being an extinction event is what I could see this. We'll go by the way of Atlantis or Lemuria or whatever, some of these ancient civilizations. But let me show you a little bit just to get started here. And you can actively disagree with me if you feel this way. But let me go ahead and share the screen. And let's start with, well, we'll get to that in a bit. This is ChatGPT. We'll come back to this later. Where I want to start is with a New York Times article. I don't have a subscription to it. I don't pay for a subscription, but this article came up for me and they haven't locked me out. So I think it must be free for anybody. I will include a link to it below the video so that you can read it, because it would be worth, you're going to have to do a little bit of pre-work before maybe you jump to the ChatGPT for auctions piece of it. I think it'll give a better perspective, which is why I'm providing these other learning tools as well. So this is a New York Times article. It talks about specifically artificial intelligence as it's tied to creating fake faces. This face is not real. It's computer generated. And in fact, if I scroll down, you're going to see, oh my gosh, look at all of those fake faces, not real people at all. And then you get into the actual article. You can read this later, but I did find it interesting. It has some of these artificially generated faces, but then you can play around with them. So like, watch her eyes here. If we take this, see how we can make her eyes and smile look change a little bit there, or you see some of this on filters, honestly, online. Let's look at the age. This was pretty impressive. A little boy. Now take that same person and let's age him. Let's age him. Looks real, doesn't it? Let's try this. Gender. All right, kind of changing things up. Oh, there it was. And all those just different variations. Look at that. Wow. Race and ethnicity. All right. Slide that out. Look at how they're changing it. Wow. So this article is quite interesting, but it's talking about another website, which is this, Not a Real Human. So this is a site that you can go to, and you're going to see face after face after face of computer generated faces. These are not real people. However, if I saw one of these faces on a review for Amazon or maybe TripAdvisor, they certainly look real. Maybe they were using this on dating profiles. Here on the left-hand side, again, this is notarealhuman.com. You hit generate and a new face comes up. Again, computer generated, not a real person. Not a real person. Looks real, not a real person. You know what what the New York Times article educated me on, which I didn't know, but I find it useful now, is one of the ways that it's difficult for the computer, at least at this stage in its early development, because this is not all that advanced yet, is the computer will have trouble with jewelry, sometimes making the jewelry work. See how this looks a lot bigger than this side? And also with glasses, that sometimes it doesn't do as well with glasses. So that can be a stumbling block to artificial intelligence when it comes to computer generating sites. All right. Now, see, I'm noticing a little bit of a strange shadow here. I almost feel like if you're one of these people who, I don't know, looks at Photoshop and the celebrities and says, wait a second, I can tell that they Photoshopped their butt, so their butt looks better. You probably are going to do well with identifying all of the little changes that might identify this face as an artificially generated face, not a real face. But just for most people, I think if you're kind of clicking through here, you'd be like, oh my gosh, looks real. You can't go back. I was going to say, I wanted to go back and look at that guy's tooth, but I wasn't able to. All of those, look at that. All ages, ethnicities, all that. Crazy. All fake. All computer generated. Okay, so again, I will get to ChatGPT, but I want to kind of set the stage. What it reminds me of is their Battlestar Galactica 2000 and I don't know, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. The Cyclones, I think is what they were called. They were something that humans had created, and then the Cyclones decided, wait, we're smarter than the humans. Then they went off and developed themselves to look like humans, and then they infiltrated Earth and destroyed it. You know, that's what I think of. There's a show that I was introduced to called I think it's called Black Mirror, out of the UK. And one of the episodes, it was a couple, and he got killed in like a car crash. And so she's missing him, but there is a company that you can go to and you can chat with your deceased. They pull all of the social media, any videos, anything, you can upload stuff into it. And so it creates a computer replica of the deceased person. And so you can go in and you can chat with your deceased person, and it feels like they're alive because the computer through AI has learned how to be that person. And then if you really want to upgrade, you can pay $50,000 and you can have a life-size AI robot. They don't act like robots, they act like humans, but a robot of your deceased with all the personality intact sent to you. Arrives in a box, you throw it in the bathtub overnight, they get moisturized, what's it called when you put water, rehydrated. The body becomes rehydrated, and then you've got your deceased person living the next day in the form of an AI robot. And this isn't, this is moving along pretty quickly. I'm going to just share another website. Amica is one of the robots that is designed to look human, but is built on AI. Here's somebody, Kara, I don't know this one. There's like 10 of them that are around the world that are these incredibly lifelike AI robots. Here's Sophia on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Jimmy Kimmel? I think it's Jimmy Kimmel. There's Boston Robotics, I think, I've seen one with that where they've created one that really would be like a soldier. So a soldier going out and in war instead of humans, just obliterating everything in their path. The rise of AI companions. Yeah. In fact, one of the other resources I'm going to give you is a video that I watched that I really like from Alex Hormozi, is how he says his name. Really sharp guy. Talks about 5 key ways that artificial intelligence is changing humanity, and specifically talks about how you can be in the new economy, because the reality is there's a lot of jobs that are going to be left behind. And he puts forth that initially it was thought that there was going to be scientific jobs that were pulled away first, but now he thinks that it's going to be artistic jobs, graphic designers, things like that will be able to go by the wayside as people use AI to create art and so forth. So you can watch that video. I recommend it. It's really good. You can pause this video if you want and spend 17 minutes watching his, but that's another great resource. Let's talk about ChatGPT. Elon Musk was involved in some of the development of it, although in the last 4 days, he has departed ways with it. He himself has talked about the fact that he felt like there needed to be controls around it because it's AI is really evolving so quickly. You can see lots of clips about him talking. I don't need to share that with you, but I did notice this on Fortune, that he had just put this out a couple of days ago, 3 days ago or so, that he was not happy with the direction it was headed. So ChatGPT itself, they're calling it an AI chatbot. Let's go over to that website. This is the page that you would go to. And this came out November 30th. I played around with it over Christmas when I was at home with my mom. So we spent some time asking it some questions. You will create a profile. So you would go over here to ChatGPT and create your profile, which I have already done. When you log in, this is what it's going to look like. The difference between this and, say, Google, and I'm a total Google girl. I ask Google all kinds of questions, but the difference is that when you ask Google a question, it's not going to continue to learn from that conversation. So for instance, if I ask Google, give me 10 great restaurants in Alexandria, Virginia, it's going to give me 10 restaurants. But I can't then go into Google's search window and say, which one of those is Italian, or are any of those Italian? Google is going to be like, it's a new search, it's a new question. Whereas something like ChatGPT that's based on AI is going to learn from your question and say, oh, well, she's obviously asking about these 10 restaurants. So which one of those are Italian, if any? Okay. So in this case, let's focus on auction stuff. Let's say, question that I get sometimes is, venues. So what are some venues in the Washington, D.C. area that will accommodate a crowd size of, my average auction last year was 318 guests. So let's say a crowd size of 250 to 350. Okay, I put that in. We'll see what it comes back. Watch how fast this happens. There are several venues. I'm going to read this to a degree because I don't know what you're watching this on, and you might only be able to see it on a tiny little screen. There are several venues in the Washington, D.C. area that can accommodate a crowd size of 250 to 350. Here are some options. The Ronald Reagan Building. This venue offers several event spaces, including a grand ballroom that can accommodate up to 1,000 and conference spaces that can accommodate 250 to 350. National Press Club. Yep, I worked in both of these places. This historic venue offers several event spaces, can accommodate up to 500 guests in the ballroom or divided into smaller sections. Washington Marriott Wardman Park. Yep, worked there. National Museum of Women in the Arts. This unique venue offers several event spaces, including a ground hall that can accommodate up to 350. Andrew Mellon, worked there, can accommodate up to 1,200 guests. And the Washington Hilton. This hotel offers several event spaces, including a grand ballroom that can accommodate up to 1,500. But several smaller that can do 250 to 350. Okay. All right, let's try this. What are some newer venue spaces in DC that are better for a smaller crowd size, no more than 350. I don't know if that hyphen will do anything. We'll see. There are many newer venue spaces better suited for smaller crowds of no more than 350. Here are some options. The Line DC. Oh, I've been there. See, I've eaten there, but I've not had an event there. The Line DC. This hotel has several event spaces, including the atrium. That's where I ate, up to 350. The Eaton DC. I've never heard of this place. Hotel offers several event spaces. Never heard of it. District Winery. I have worked there. An urban winery offering several event spaces. I think the District Winery was maybe built in 5 years ago, 7 years ago. The Loft at 600. This recently renovated event space features a loft-style design with exposed brick walls and ceilings. Can accommodate up to 225 for a seated dinner. I don't know it. The Anthem. Oh, that's a huge space. I do know that one. It's new, though. Smaller spaces can do 350. And the Wharf DC. development with several event spaces, including the channel. I've never heard of the channel. So it's giving me information that I don't even know here in Washington, D.C. For those of my D.C. folks that are watching this who are looking for new spaces, hey, here's a tool that you can use. Okay, well, let's try something else. Let's go in a different direction. What is a sample timeline for a school auction? School auctions start really in heavy here in a couple of weeks. Let's see what they've got. Here's a sample timeline for a school auction. 6 to 12 months, form a planning committee, secure a venue, and an auctioneer. Doesn't say that, but I will tell you that. Identify and secure sponsors for the auction. Determine a theme, solicit donations, develop marketing materials. Okay. 3 to 6 months. Finalize auction items. Yeah, that never happens. Okay, so clearly this isn't perfect. Finalizing of auction items usually happens like 2 weeks before the event. Hire a professional auctioneer. Oh, all right. Prepare. You don't want to do that 3 to 6 months. You want to do that earlier. Prepare and print bid sheets. That's not going to happen that early. Confirm catering, finalize decor. 1 to 2 months, send out invites, train volunteers, promote the auction. 1 week, finalize the guest list, make any necessary seating arrangements. Yep, the seating meeting. Confirm catering, make final preparations, train volunteers. Day of auction. Register guests, begin the auction, set up venue, survey, continue auction leading up to the live auction items. Collect payment, clean up the venue after the event. After the auction, follow up with guests. I'll tell you what, folks, this isn't bad. If you're just getting started, it's not bad, is it? Little bit of learning. It's going to learn, though, the more questions that go into it. Let's ask it, what are some companies that donate to auction galas? What are some companies? Who are some companies? What are some companies? Let's do that. What are some companies that donate to auction galas? Many companies are willing to donate, but their level of participation may depend on the type of organization, size, etc. Oh, this is okay. I'm going to hit stop generating because I don't want something that general. Can you give me a list of Virginia-based, can I type Virginia-based companies that have a page on their website devoted to donations? Let's see what happens. Sure. Well, let's see what they got. Capital One, CarMax, Dominion Energy. Okay, these are pretty big companies. I suspect that if we went into some of these, it's not going to be what I was thinking of, which is like hardcore items. Like if I was going to a cupcakery, Georgetown Cupcakes, and asking for a dozen cupcakes, that's more hardcore. This, I think, is going to be more like sponsorship related, or something like, you know, Volkswagen supports so many different groups. Here's photos of us out helping Habitat for Humanity, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's not exactly. Here's what I am a Google girl. I use Google all the time to ask it questions. The way that this is different than Google, as already mentioned about the restaurants, but it's also it's knowing how to ask the right questions. And certainly the more I spend time with this, the better my questions are going to be as well. But again, I'm just a little leery about the whole AI thing. So to a degree, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to give it information because it's going to use it. And I feel like I don't want it to get smarter. But you might want to. So you could use this as well for themes. You could use this for ideas for decor if you wanted to go that route. You could ask it, let's do this. Please, I don't know why I'm saying please. Please write a sponsorship letter to, please write a sponsorship thank you note. All right, let's see what it says. On behalf of, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for your generous sponsorship of our recent event. Your contribution helped make the event a great success and enabled us to continue our mission of, your support has helped us provide benefits and ensure that we can continue to impact of the organization's work. We truly appreciate your partnership with us and the role you play. I know some of you are drooling. Oh my gosh, I'm a bad writer and this will help me. In fact, there's been some articles talking about how colleges now are having to combat this because you've got people using it to write their research papers. So I've given you some examples there of how you can use it, do with it what you want. If you're looking for some other great tools for auctions, I did release this a couple of weeks ago. Top 100 items that I sold for over value in the charity auctions I worked last year. My clients always come up with great ideas, so 100 of them are tucked into that guide for you to take to your procurement meeting as well. All right, Auction Nation, I'm going to sign off here. I hope that you got something out of today's video. I know it was a little bit longer, but I bet you learned something too. Okay. As always, good luck to you in your charity auction. Bye.